Welcome back to Asean Newsroom. A representative from Pheu Thai Party has successfully negotiated with Cambodian Premier to ask for the royal pardon for the two Thai nationalists accused of espionage, hoping this will be a gift for Thai people after Yingluck gets appointed. วีระสมความคิด and ราตรีพิพัฒนาไพบูลย์ accused of spy charges and having been in jail in Cambodia for over 6 months might be set free after Pheu Thai won the election and forms the government. Pheu Thai's working team revealed that the party has recently sent a senior staff to negotiate with Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen to set Veera and Ratri free. The result is reportedly successful. Both Veera and Ratri might get the royal pardon. It is expected that Veera and Ratri will be liberalized after Yingluck officially visits Hun Sen. This ensures a good relations between the two countries and is the gift for Thai people who are concerned over Veera and Ratri's cases. Meanwhile, Veera's brothers Prisha Somkwamkit said he has not known about the negotiation but accepts that after he visited his brother last Friday, the relations between Thailand and Cambodia has improved and not strained as it has been.
Deputy Commerce Minister Alongkorn Phorlawut said yesterday that Total Access Communication or DTAC has breached foreign business law. Alongkorn also recommended the Business Development Department to file charges against 7 corporate shareholders of DTAC who were believed to hold shares in DTAC on behalf of foreigners. Alongkorn did not specify the names of the companies on the shareholders list as of December 2010. Corporate shareholders of DTAC included Telenor Asia Singapore and Thai Telco Holdings Company Limited. Holding shares in Thai Telecom Holdings included Borelo Company Limited, Abaroni Company Limited, and Sandalwood Holdings Company Limited. Commerce Permanent Secretary Banyong Pongrat said at a press conference yesterday that Alongkorn could just give the recommendation given that he is a caretaker minister who has no authority in this case. Banyong added that the Business Development Department, which enforces the Foreign Business Act BE 2542, would stick to the original schedule to decide within 7 days whether to file charges against nominees or to forward the investigation to the police.
ASEAN's flirtations with the idea of nuclear power may be coming to an end as a result of Japan's Fukushima disaster. Malaysia, Indonesia and Vietnam are all taking a second and more critical look at the nuclear option, while the Philippines may decide against reactivating a nuclear power plant built under former President Ferdinand Marcos, according to experts from across the regions. At what was termed an emergency dialogue organized here at the end of last week, senior officials and academics argue that if countries do choose to take the nuclear route, they must be nuclear ready and better prepare their citizens for possible accidents. Experts suggested that if Japan, as one of the more disaster-prone but also disaster-prepared Asian nations, could suffer catastrophes such as the nuclear meltdown at Fukushima, less technologically advanced countries need to think twice about going down the nuclear road. Many ASEAN members were considering the nuclear power options before the Fukushima meltdown. Malaysia, for example, has considered this option before the Fukushima incident, but since then, decisions have been deferred. Indonesia, too, since becoming a net importer of oil, had decided to build at least 1 nuclear power plant, but the proposed plan was in a location close to a seismic fault line, and the Indonesian government has deferred the decision in the light of the Fukushima accident. Vietnam is still considering the nuclear options, but the decision on whether or not to go ahead will need to be improved by the country's parliament as a result of increasing democracy there. The Philippines, too, is looking at nuclear power as a means to reduce its heavy dependence on imported oil, but there is a lot of opposition to the idea. Japan had early announced a provisional agreement to supply reactors to Vietnam, although it recently withdrew from bidding on a proposed Malaysian plant. Proposed stress testing of Japan's 54 nuclear power plants announced by Prime Minister Naoto Kan has generated domestic controversy over its timing, which coincides with plans to restart 35 plants idled after the crisis. But the results could reassure ASEAN members depending upon the outcome, some observers suggested. There were calls at the Tokyo Seminar for greater awareness among ASEAN's governments of the human and economic toll that natural disasters can exact and for increased regional cooperation in this area.
Indonesia said yesterday that it would evacuate hundreds of people living near Mount Lokhond on Sulawesi Island after raising the volcano's alert status to the highest level. The government volcanologist Cristianto said that the Indonesian government has raised the volcano's status to the highest red alert level last night. There was a significant rise in volcanic activity since July the 9th. The volcano spewed ashes 500 meters into the air over the weekend. He added that yesterday people living within a 3.5-kilometer radius around the volcano were evacuated as a precautionary measure in case of a bigger eruption, which may be accompanied by deadly searing gas. Around 28,000 people live within the evacuation zone, but only hundreds were moved yesterday, those in the path of the ash, as officials continue to monitor volcanic activity. Disaster Management Agency spokesman Sutopo Purwo Nugroho said. Officials said tourists would also be barred from going on popular day hikes to the 1,580-meter Mount Lokhond, one of the most active volcanoes in Indonesia and located 20 kilometers away from the North Sulawesi provincial capital of Manado. The volcano erupted in 1991, killing a Swiss tourist. Mount Soputan, another volcano in North Sulawesi province, erupted early this month, spewing ash and smoke 5,000 meters into the air. The Indonesian archipelago has dozens of active volcanoes and straddles major tectonic fault lines known as the Ring of Fire between the Pacific and Indian Oceans. The country's most active volcano, Mount Merapi in central Java, has killed more than 350 people in a series of violent eruptions which started in late October.
Visiting chairmen of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen held press briefing after talks here in Beijing with his Chinese counterpart, General Chen Bingde, Chief of General Staff of the Chinese People's Liberation Army. The talks touched upon many important military aspects, as both sides say they have reached some agreements but differences remain. China's General Chen Bingde said the small-scale meeting mainly focused on force issue, the South China Sea situation, the attitude of U.S. authorities toward China, internet security, as well as the development of China's military power. Chen answered questions from foreign press about the DF-21D missile at the press briefing, saying that Mullen and him talked about the DF-21D anti-ship ballistic missile earlier. It is still under scientific research. Even though it will be put into use in the future, it is defensive. He sincerely hopes Chinese experts will contribute to this field somewhat, but the research about sophisticated weapons is beset with difficulties. Funds, advanced technology, and talents are all basic factors that help to support the research. Chen also said both sides agree that the two militaries will increase their cooperations in dealing with regional and global security challenges. The two countries reiterated that they should attach greater importance to marine military security issues and to increasing coordinations in this regard. The two navies will conduct counter-piracy joint military exercise in the fourth quarter of this year in the Gulf of Aden. Chen said the relations between the two militaries are still in the stage of recovering but are gradually improving. Both sides need to cherish such a hard-won situation. He had frankly conveyed a clear message to the American friends that internationally imposed troubles and issues should be resolved based on the principles of equality, mutual trust, and respect. However, the US has said it doesn't have the intention to interfere with the South China Sea dispute, but its military exercises with the Philippines and Vietnam at this juncture is quite inappropriate.
British Prime Minister David Cameron said he believed that News Corp needed to handle the fallout from the phone hacking scandal before moving ahead with a bid for total ownership of British Sky Broadcasting. He told journalists while answering questions after a speech in London that if I was running this company, Sky B and News Corporation, I would be focused on clearing up the mess that there is in News International with all the problems that are still coming out, and I suspect that there is many more problems to come out. The British government, meanwhile, referred News Corp's bid for Sky B to competition authorities for a review, in effect delaying a final decision for several months. That announcement on Monday from Culture Secretary Jeremy Hunt followed News Corp's withdrawal of a promise to spin off Sky News, which had been a condition for buying the 61% of Sky B shares that it doesn't already own. Britain's Competition Commission now must hold a full-scale inquiry into whether the takeover would break anti-monopoly laws. News Corp acted as the government was facing intense pressure to block the bid following revelations of phone hacking activity at its Sunday tabloid News of the World.
Kunal, do you like cars?
Yeah.
Do you drive as well?
Yes.
Well, do you know that we will have the new world's cheapest car will be made in Indonesia? For more information after the break.